block sell.
Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Well, it's Monday, 22nd. I had to go and look at the had to look at the day. It's the 22nd. We got some interesting stuff going on. Oh, look, we got our little indicator making our noise. So that's cool. That's cool. And they're moving here on the open. They kind of came down and now they're pushing it back up. It's kind of an interesting sound that I've created. It kind of sounds like marbles bumping into each other, don't you think? I don't know. Close this, don't need that. Anyways, so let's look at the chart over here. We can see here in the E-mini had a pretty good fall. Friday, I guess. And we're recovering a little bit, but I mean, we're still pretty high. I mean, these days we're looking pretty negative, but we never really fell out. It's just still kind of within the range. The 10-year. Well, it's been a real ride, and I think while we have been starting to retrace these single prints all the way up to 128, we may just be fairly priced here, so I don't know. We are also getting some news. I think this little bump up was possibly about Iran. I'm not sure, but that was a lot of action. That was a lot of action for a Monday open. So I think that we need to be on our toes. Or you need to be on your toes. Not me. I am just watching again this week, seeing our indicator. So there's the open. It gave us possibly a signal there, but it is too difficult to determine what happened. There's not enough context to play that one, so I'm not going to record that one in my notes. Let's make sure, though, that I got this all. I don't need that. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Go. See a couple of bids pulled. I think I would be favoring the long side here. Good morning, Uzi Wrong. Got a good number of people in here for Monday. Didn't quite get all my windows set up before I went in to have breakfast, so still messing around with things here. Okay, so we just got we're getting a signal right here at 17. I think this one will probably go through. at least for a little bit. July 22nd. So the daily move should be up. Trending type action. It was moving up. And that's at 17.5. I'm predicting it's going to continue. This one is kind of an interesting setup, I think, because I would normally, well, most of the time when we get a spike like that, it is a reversal. But I think that we are probably going to move a little bit higher. Well, you had 2 ticks against it at the very least. There was so much momentum that you knew that even if it does reverse, that it was going to go more than just 1 tick through it. Look, and it's at the high. Look at that. And Bitcoin pretty much where it's been. It's interesting. And the E-mini is moving too, huh? Indian Finance Ministry officially bans cryptocurrencies. Ooh. That is going to hurt. But Bitcoin doesn't seem to care. Okay, Uzi says first stop topside in ZP is 19. Oh, man, really? Okay, this could be a day. Okay, well, sure enough, they did continue for at least 3. 1, 2, 3. Only 37 hit that high, though. Interesting that they're pulling at 18. I am now, ever since that touch, ugh, excuse me, my stomach is kind of being icky. Now there kind of looks like a lack of follow through. The federal government has deemed variations of the phrase "go back to where you came from" to be discriminatory. Some cases show. Yeah. Oh, Donald Trump had been tweeting here. With almost no inflation, our country is needlessly being forced to pay a much higher interest rate than other countries only because of a very misguided Federal Reserve. In addition, quantitative tightening is continuing, making it harder for our country to compete. As good as we have done, it could have been so much better. Interest rate costs should have been much lower. GDP and our country's wealth accumulation much higher. Such a waste of time and money. Also, very unfair that other countries manipulate their currencies and pump money in. It is far more costly for the Federal Reserve to cut deeper if the economy actually does, in the future, turn down. Very inexpensive, in fact, productive, to move now. Fed raised and tightened far too much too fast. In other words, they missed it big. Don't miss it again. Interesting. I think he has a good argument. Well, actually, the funny thing about that, about what he just said there, That was 20 minutes ago, by the way. Something that I find interesting about what he said there, though, is that it very much mirrors the language that the Federal Reserve themselves have been saying, that it's better to move now, even if nothing ends up happening, because we can kind of get ahead of this if things do turn south. And I think that even Donald Trump now is starting to realize, wow, okay, so at that tick right there, the 18 was actually pulling, and they pushed through. So it did end up being a continuation. And if you took it, I think you're still in it, because I haven't seen anything on the other side to say that it's done. Maybe this little push right here, but that's, under 15,000. I think that it needs to get over, I'm going to say 14,000 for it to really be significant. Okay. Well, that was a tick down. That last one actually might have been 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to say with this one, you could get 3 off of it. Oh, but still. Maybe, well, I don't know if you hold it or not. My guess says we can go higher, especially with some of the targets and everything that we've got. Like I think that we could try and go back to 27.5, for instance. What is it in ZB? Oh, they're already above it in ZB. That's where Uzi gets his 19 from. Interesting. I don't have enough days loaded up. I don't necessarily see 19, but I do see like 22. So there's probably quite a bit of stuff there in that area, that 22 area, 19 to 22 area, that might be an attractor. So a bid pulled there. A bunch of bids pulled there. So let's look at it at 18.5. Oh, trend up 180.5. So is that bids pulling, trying to giving up on getting long, or trying to bring it back down into them? Okay, now we're getting another. So I think that this is a continuation again. Oh, look at that. They're kind of reaching for it, but they don't want to quite go for it yet, do they? Okay, so we started getting lots of bids, a lot of pulling in there. But now we're getting an outsized thing. So I think that kind of changes my opinion. I honestly don't think I have really know what it's going to do here. I mean, I probably shouldn't be trying to predict it, right? But my gut says that we're getting that kind of activity here at a high, that there seems to be some serious interest in this, and that we could have another break higher. And that we're probably very likely to continue trending up today. I mean, the thing is, we got a pretty big amount of interest here at this 18.5 one. They did tick up. It's not reversing yet. If it really turned, I mean, if they got below 17.5, then that would be different. But the way that it is right now, I think that this is not, you know, a bunch of retail guys getting overly excited and flooding in. There's something going on in this market. So I would think normally this would be a reversal, but the context seems to suggest to me that it's not. And you're getting some stacking there too. What was that last one? It was a bid at 19. They're throttling right there at 19. I haven't noticed that sort of a thing for a long time. So do you see how they're going between 1500 and 2019? So they're it's like they're sitting there on the gas pedal and pulling it back and forth, trying to get something to change, because they don't necessarily want to buy 4,000 contracts at 19.5, but they know that there's a good possibility of a reversal, of a continuation. Wouldn't be surprised if we see this stack up again. Yeah. There you go. Good morning, Algo Lover. Uzi's talking about bagels. Yeah. Maybe I should get some bagels. You know, I've been, tell you what, so this weekend, I had a pretty good weekend, by the way. I think mostly because I spent a lot of time just sitting out on my back porch. That is turning, like, we are turning that place into like a little miniature paradise. I think when we're done with it, I'll make a little video for you guys, but hopefully we're going to bring in the last of the grass Saturday. But this week we put in a piece of metal and kind of tried to smooth out some of these hills that we got. Anyways, that wasn't what I was going to go into. Bagels. Anyways, so I was working out, and my workout was pretty brutal. So what's happening right now is we're at where we would be maxing out and going for a competition, but because I'm not doing a competition or anything, and I kind of had some rough time going into that because I took a lot of days off and everything. So I've been going into a conditioning program. So she gave me, like, my coach, she gave me front squats sets of 10. 3 sets of 10, which just, oh man. Sets of 10 in squats are just always brutal no matter what. I mean, that's the sort of thing that bodybuilders do in dread. It was just rough. And I did them. And then as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, let's sit down and rest for a little bit. And I started to feel like super, okay, there you go. There, they broke it. My, oh my. Okay, so it was a continuation. It was a continuation, but I think, well, you would have gotten about, you would have gotten one against you. Anyways, man, I thought I was going to pass out. And, you know, I was like, well, it wasn't that bad. I can't believe that I'm like feeling so weak. And I had like a really good breakfast and everything like that. And I woke up earlier and like, so that the food had time to digest for me and everything. So I shouldn't be feeling this awful. And then after a while, I decided to drink some Gatorade. So I drank some Gatorade, and then soon after I was fine. So I'm thinking, maybe I have something weird going on with my blood sugar. Like, maybe my intestines just aren't absorbing the nutrients, because I do have ulcerative colitis. And I'm wondering if it has to do with that. So now I'm thinking, because I've been trying to do good with the breakfast. Like, I always try to have eggs and some good carbs. But now I'm sitting here thinking, maybe I just need to get it in me. Maybe I just need to get the easily available carbohydrates, because my intestines aren't 100%. And I don't need to be trying to do like, you know, complex carbs or anything like that. I just need to get like a bagel or something like that. A bagel or a muffin. So now you got me thinking about bagels, Susie. My problem is I don't really like bagels. They always put stupid crap in bagels, like blueberry. I don't like blueberries in a bagel. Cinnamon in a bagel, that's good, right? But they always put, I always feel like bagels are just too weird. When you look at this uptrend in the 10-year, it looks like maybe they came to a stopping point and they've pushed through. And you don't know if they're going to like really continue through or if they're going to pull back significantly. When you look at it in ZB and in ZF, it's just a straight shot up.
Block sell.
Okay. Block sell at 19.5. So I'm going to say that you got that 2 from that. No, actually, you got 3 from that. I'm just going to put here block sell. No, actually, I don't think it is. I don't think it is a reversal there. I think that continues again. Because, cheesecakes? Oh, man. You guys ever been to the Cheesecake Factory and had their s'more cheesecake? Oh, my gosh. It is so good. Yeah. Uzi says, yep. It's good. So when I was freshly divorced, well, so here's the thing. Kitchen in my townhouse that I had, That was where I lived when we started this stream, actually. It's funny to think it's been that long. Hold on, let me adjust my chair here. It doesn't feel like I was quite centered. Anyways, I thought I had a really nice kitchen. And I just bought like a brand new fridge and everything. So like I was pretty, you know, proud of it. It was kind of like me and my ex, we had worked hard to get all this stuff, and then when we'd gotten everything together, she just kind of was like, went off the deep end for some reason. She really regrets it, I think, and she's told me since that she regrets it, but anyways, so I'm like, well, it seems like my most attractive feature is my kitchen. So that was the weapon that I was going to be using against the ladies in Utah. And I had met this girl that it seemed to fit the things that I was looking for. I think when I look back on it now, fit a little bit too well. Because in some respects, I kind of look at some of the things about that person, and I don't think there's another person in the Valley that's even close to fitting those qualifications that I had written down a list of things that I wanted about this person. And she fit him too well. And I think in retrospect, maybe that was like, what is the word? It was really more of a reflection of myself and what I was thinking. Like, it's too perfect that person probably isn't actually like that. And that was just like an illusion that I was coming up with. I think anytime that you meet a person and they seem like too perfect like that, I think you got to be on your toes, because I think that that's a sign that you might not be, that you might be off, if that makes sense. Anyways, so I'm like, well, let's try and, you know, put a lure out there. So I go and we're having this party. And so I decide to go and get one of those cheesecakes from the Cheesecake Factory. Like the s'more cheesecake. And you get the whole thing. It's like $50, okay? $50 cheesecake, it's a pretty nice cheesecake though, okay? That's falling out, and it was off of bids pulling. Okay, we are now seeing something that we have not seen before. I have to pause the story. We have to take some notes here. This is new. This is new. Where is it? Okay. So let's say that 18 half one went to 1, 2, 3. Okay, sure. Okay, up. Trend up. We don't know, but I happened at, I'm going to have to say 19. Retail bids pulling. I'm actually going to say that this was down because it downticked. If sellers hold this bounce and squeeze below 29.94, then we target 29.60, bid above 29.94 before trading down, then anticipate squeeze. Algo still kind of wants, you still really want them to sell this, don't you? I think that Wall Street might have sniffed out something that we haven't gotten yet. Oh, Donald Trump tweeted again. Mainstream media is out of control. They constantly lie and cheat in order to get their radical left Democrat views out for all to see. It has never been this bad. They have gone bonkers and no longer care what is right or wrong. This large-scale false reporting is sick. You know, well, we should, I want to take a segue here for a second. There was this discussion yesterday on Reddit in r/best of about how political ideology is very closely tied to values, underlying values that we have, and personalities. And they were talking about how conservatives tend to have values that liberals don't. For instance, they believe in sanctity, loyalty. What was the third one? There was a third one, but I can't even remember what it was. But anyways, and liberals tend not to see these sorts of things. And so I think that that might be a case with some of this reporting is like, from Republican standpoint, there's right and wrong. And from their perspective, the reporting that they're doing, the way that they're doing it, is just inherently wrong and immoral. And I think the liberal standpoint, they don't care. They see it as, whatever it takes to get Donald Trump out of office. You know what I mean? But I think that they should rethink it because it's helping him. Okay, that was the bunny just like moved its whole thing over. Hold on a second. Okay, so anyways, back to our story, right? So I was like, let's put a lure out there. So I get this cheesecake, $50 cheesecake, and I go and I put it in my fridge. Nice fridge. Take a picture of it. So I got this beautiful fridge, beautiful cheesecake in the fridge. It's an amazing picture. All right, it looked good, and she totally bit. She like was messaging me like, "Oh, that looks really good," and everything. I was like so proud of myself. I was like, "Hey, Seth, maybe you actually might be, maybe you'll be good at this time around." I think I eventually did get good at it, but I was not good at it at that moment. And yeah, but then when the time came over, like we set something up, she didn't show up. Unfortunate, but that's my cheesecake story. I still get cheesecakes quite a bit, and I always think about that. Like, oh, you could be having this cheesecake too, but you missed out. They are pulling. Why are they pulling so strong? I suppose another possibility is that all of those were put on there to push us up, and now they're taking them off. No. It seems like the sellers are kind of fighting here. Let's change our levels here. I should probably add this stuff onto the 5-year. Okay. Oh, I know I didn't have one for the 5-year because I don't have a chart for the 5-year. Should probably change these charts off of cams too. Oh my. Uzi long? Yes, that's a good question. I mean, he's clearly has the bias correct, but did he actually get in before all that happened? Like when it came back down to 14, did he buy? That was a real wild ride at the beginning, and I was not ready for it. Because that came back, and if you had bought that down at 14, that would have been a really good trade. Don't know, just waking up. Well, he didn't say if he had gotten in one or not. He just said that the upside target was 19. Well, we had a lot of action there, and when I look at it, so this one is kind of weird because normally when we get a spike like that, I'm normally thinking, yep, they're getting excited. I can see. I don't necessarily see all of the orders stacking and everything, but I can see that something's happening. Now this one, I can see that there was a lot of stacking and that they stepped up to the high, but I don't actually see, like, they don't look excited to me yet. It looks pretty quiet. It looks like unusually quiet to be one tick below the low, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's a continuation or what. I mean, I'm still feeling like they're going to continue to push through. And I'm wondering what this polling was about. I think this polling kind of makes me suspicious about it reversing. Why did this clear out, by the way? Seeing some interesting behavior really far out. Like that was a bid way back at 127.05. That was like way over here. Okay. So Uzi says there was a pullback at the RTH Open that happened too fast for me to get in on. I don't like getting in long when the highs are being made, so I'm just waiting for a pullback. So I'm still flat. Bias is still long, but I need a good pullback before I get in. Gotcha. Well, something fishy is certainly going on here. I'm kind of wondering if we do move up, it might be something where they move up and they make a new high and then they really overextend, but who knows? I can see that my Vista charts are pretty jacked up. Let's fix those. By the way, let's see if we can see anything interesting here in this Vista chart. Well, I can see that we bought it up. I can see that the amount that we moved up in cumulative delta to get here is incredibly significant. And I can see that the offers are being a little stubborn and that we've stepped up into a place that there was some liquidity. But then there's this 24 way up there that has been there for quite some time. I can't execute trades when I'm in the kitchen toasting a bagel, huh? Yeah, well, even if you had been here, I don't know if it would have been a hard one to catch. I mean, it was kind of weird because they sold into the open and then they just immediately bought it. It was so fast. It would have been really hard to click in. I think that you might have been able to get filled at 14. I mean, well, no, you wouldn't have been able to get filled at 14. It would have had to have been 14.5. So you certainly could have done it, but you would have to be, well, and there was an iceberg there too, huh? You still would have had to have been quick, because it wasn't like that for very long, but the volume was certainly there for you to get in. Yep, it was a quick dive and bounce right back up. Yep. I was quite surprised. I was still looking at it like, what's going on? This is unusual.
Block by.
Holy shit, look at that. Okay, so I think that we have to call that thing that we got a reversal higher, kind of. Yep, so 2 and 1. There's also the added challenge of getting my pullback and making sure it isn't a collapse. Oh, yeah. Well, what just happened there was not necessarily what I was looking for. So remember I said maybe they'll push up and then that could be like overextension and they might turn there? Well, we got a new push higher. You can't actually see there wasn't that much excitement on it. You see that the wider participation in the level 2 wasn't there. I don't know if that increases the possibility of a reversal or what. But to me, the push higher there without the other the larger participation, I think, is a little suspicious. But maybe that's because the 5-year did it. I'd like to see the 03 to 04 area, and IQ says you will get your wish. Oh, you think it's going to pull back, huh? You know what? I think I'll go out on a limb and I think I'll say that I think you might be right. But I also think that it's probably going to take a long time and that you have to be incredibly patient and that the whole time that you're going to be watching it, you're going to be like, oh, maybe I should just buy it because it doesn't look like it's actually going to pull back. And then the instant you decide that that's not going to happen anymore, then they'll pull back. And if you do end up being incredibly patient, I'm just thinking through, this was what would happen to me, right? If I did end up being incredibly patient, they would never come back. Oh, well, there's another hit. They're just bang, 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 bang. Those ones were on the bid at 20.5. He's ready to push it through again. going to just point out here 20. This one was also for 2. Just put the order in at 03 and forget it. Yeah, I guess you could do that. It seems to me that this guy, they're trying to make something happen, and like the market doesn't seem to care anymore. Hmm. And you come over here into my other documents and make sure that these particular setups that we list them down. Okay. Put it at the top of this document. Okay. Now you're getting, now they're picking up a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. I'll tell you what, that little noise is really useful, don't you think? You can immediately, oh, I'm sorry. There you go, IQ. How long had I had it over there? That sucks. I need to stop doing that because yesterday or last Friday I wanted to relook at something that had happened and I couldn't see the order flow while I was doing it. Oh, that was interesting. Did you see that? They actually traded it up and the sellers sold it so aggressively that you couldn't even see it tick up. You just saw the 411 trade there at 20.5. And we're also seeing large bids, so that is another signal, huh? Okay, so this one, we're moving Up, we have a trend. Up, this tends to be a reversal. 20 half. Large bids near high. Let's see if what they do. You got to be careful about these because this could be a reversal, but they could make one last push to make it happen, you know. Dum bum bum ba-dum. I just really like the sound because I don't ever feel caught off guard. I can always tell now when something's happening. It's like, oh, okay. Yes, I can see somebody setting up a trade. I don't necessarily, I'm not so sure that I have 100%, you know, I think that I'd probably still be 50-50 on this sort of a thing. But it kind of looks to me like every time they take that step up there at 21, that somebody comes in and puts steps down on the offer for some reason. But the ones that are coming in are like really far away. You know what? I want to change this to be from 400 instead of 500 for kicks and giggles. Okay. Hmm. Down tick. 20 pulled. Hmm. That's okay. You can kind of see them come in when it almost goes, but then it's not holding. So I wonder if it's something like you got these big guys putting orders on here, trying to influence the action, but they're not the ones that are actually, you know, putting the volume into it. And so the scalping robots, the ones that are trying to take the edge, just aren't convinced yet. Sounds, it's the same. As I'm saying that, it kind of sounds like a crazy theory, but let's see what happens. Take back up again. It was interesting. Or just was given notifications about things that I had said in the past. So 3 years ago, so once again, I wake up to read the political analysis only to find the media getting it wrong. So here's what I believe the big takeaway from Trump's acceptance speech is. Trump intends to get every vote. 4 years ago, Mitt Romney's message was 47% of the people won't vote for me, and we aren't going to bother trying. Trump, on the other hand, is going all in with his I'm with you theme. In his speech, he made explicit plays for every demographic out there. He targeted the millennial vote, the demographic that hates him the most. I could be wrong about this, but I think he was possibly hinting at college loan debt relief. He said that GOP will no longer be hostile to the LGBTQ community. I used the wrong word there. Empathized with the concerns of inner city black kids. He tried to provide red meat for every demographic in America. He wants your vote for all of his historic negative ratings. He's saying, you're all wrong about me. I'm not the scary racist haymonger they say I am. I'm going to prove it to you. He's betting his campaign on his ability to convince every one of you, despite conventional wisdom that says you can only play for the middle. Well, and yet I look at it right now, and the Beltway opinion continues to be that Donald Trump is playing to his base. But then you look at like his campaign tweets, like after rallies, they're trying to sound like all Americans sort of a thing again. I think that he is trying to play a, what do we call it? Not a moderate, but, a big tent kind of campaign, and is just maybe not very good at it. I wonder what he would have to do to actually be removed. Well, I think that it would be quite, well, no. He says, surprised how, I guess, tolerable Americans are in these situations. I think that if he committed a serious crime or misdemeanor, and when I mean like serious, I mean like, okay, he paid off his mistress or something and kind of tried to skirt campaign laws about it or something like that, that's not going to do it, okay? But if Donald Trump murdered somebody in the street, he would be removed from office, right? The problem here is that what's been going on is that people are trying really, really hard to find something that just isn't there right now. Hold on. I don't know if that completely makes sense, because if to somebody, if you're on the left side of the aisle and you really think that Donald Trump has done things to be removed from office, the thing that you have to go back and look at is go and look at the polling and everything. Republicans think that the Mueller report completely exonerates him. Are we getting 1, 2, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are getting 11 tick zipper. But it's at the highs. I think he's done things that would throw normal people in prison. Well, so this is one of the things that I think is really funny. Think for a second. Have you heard the phrase, the only reason that Donald Trump got away with what he did is because he's president? Have you heard that phrase before? And to that I would reply, well, no duh. Because he wouldn't have been able to do any of those things in the first place if he wasn't president. Like, the whole thing with the obstruction of justice charge is that they're saying he's obstructing justice by doing actions that only a president can do. Like, firing certain, executive branch employees, changing policies, things like that. These are things that only the president can do, right? I think the only reason it's coming out is because he's president. That could be true too. I mean, they're probably both true, huh? But no, if he really did something that was like a true crime, like for instance, let's try and look at what are some of the conspiracy theories out there that Democrats have that would actually, okay, so let's say that the Mueller report had actually uncovered evidence of Russian collusion. It was a very, very clear, cold-cut, open and shut case that they had done something with the Russians that was also illegal. Like let's say that they had entered into a quid pro quo agreement with Russia to give Russia certain policies beneficial to Russia, and they had this recorded on tape. Okay, he would get impeached, 100%, no question. 100% no question. Here's the thing you got to remember. Okay, the GOP does not like Donald Trump, and when I say the GOP, I mean the GOP leadership. Okay, because the voters, looking at the polling right now, and his approval rating amongst Republicans is really, really high. Okay, and so then you go out and you look at it and you say, well, if that's the case, then how come they always just go along with whatever he says? Well, it's because he has such a high approval rating among the constituents. You see what I mean? They go along with it because if they don't, their voters will have their heads. But there would be nothing more that these guys in the Senate would love than for Donald Trump to not be in charge anymore, because the GOP is conservative, and conservatives try to go for conservative strategies. They don't like to be, always taking these huge risks and creating chaos and drama left and right. They don't like that at all. They try and play it safe. They try and play to the conventional wisdom, and they want to be elected because the voters think that they're competent and that life is good and comfortable, right? They don't like it. They don't like it at all. And if they had a chance, very clear, he broke a law, then they would 100% get rid of him. Now the only caveat to that is that for them to get rid of him, there would still need to be enough public support. It would have to be like 60% of people endorse impeachment or something like that. But they could totally get rid of him, 100%. There's just every time that they're looking for something, they can't find it, right? If they went through Epstein's vaults and they found a video of Donald Trump having sex with an 11-year-old kid, he would be impeached. No question about it. He would absolutely be impeached. So I don't think it's so difficult to get rid of him. I think that the real issue here is that, as far as we know, he hasn't actually done anything wrong. You know what I mean? Trumpians always lean on the stock market when he says something stupid, i.e., as long as the market is doing well, Trump can do whatever he wants. Well, I think that Donald Trump uses the stock market as like his bank. Like say you're playing poker, right? And you have your bankroll, you have your pieces, and okay, I have a lot of money right now. So it's okay for me to risk a lot here because, I can afford to lose it. And then if I don't win that time, then I can't take as much risk or whatever the situation is, right? I think he plays it like that. He's willing to make really bold moves, really risky moves, because the market is so high. If the market wasn't as high, I think that he would be using different strategies. And I think that he realizes that there's a possibility that we take a downturn. His comments this morning indicate to me that he might realize that there's a good possibility of a downturn. And it's not even necessarily going to be his or anybody in the United States' fault. It's just the global economy is turning down, and there's maybe nothing that anybody could have done about it. Like the cycle is completing, essentially. This whole thing, the stuff that I was reading, I tell you what, go on Zero Hedge. I don't really like Zero Hedge as a primary source of information. They're always going to have you negative about things. But they had a really, really good story. A lot of detail, very long read about the stuff that's going on with banking in China that I found quite alarming. And it seems to indicate to me that China is going through a bit of a reckoning. And that alone can pull the world into a recession, So, I don't know. Anyways, but I on the other hand, there were regulations and things that Trump did that really benefited the stock market. Things that if Obama had done those things, or rather he had never put in the things in there in the first place that caused Donald Trump to come in and take them out, essentially, because that's most of what he did was take out those regulations, then you would have seen this stronger growth under Obama. Like Obama came in, he did some things that were good, but it was mostly that he just kind of got out of the way once he realized that the market didn't like him. Now you have Donald Trump. He gets rid of the kind of the regulations weighing down on the markets, and they just take off. That's because of him. But it's pretty hard to look at all the other stuff. Like think about the trade war, right? Okay. Trade wars are unquestionably bad for the economy. I think what we're finding is that in today's world that is so global, that a trade war is very, very different from the way that a trade war was, say, in 1920, right? And it seems to me that a trade war is not the end of the world. But we can't say that it doesn't hurt things still. Can you imagine where we would be if we hadn't had a trade war? It's those sorts of things. Doji setting up on a 30-minute in ZB. Izzy says, I see that too. You're going to have to wait and see how the equities open. So we had an 11-tick zipper that failed. But that tends to happen when we're at highs. And when that happens, it's very often that's the end. So we're going to see, but I think we might be getting a pullback here. I'm not getting another level. Well, actually, I am getting another level 2 signal because I'm getting large bids. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to say that this one at 20 half went into 1 and 1. And the result was range. And then we're going to say that we were going up. We're in a trend day, but we're in a range. And I think that we're going to reverse at 21.0. Okay, there's the E-mini open. The E-mini open had a decent amount of buying going into it. Ooh, and there's a big iceberg buy at 21. Ooh. Okay, well, I just put the signal in 21 as that it's probably going to be a reversal. Let's see. It looks like they're trapped. Look, they're not even trying to hit back into 21. Well, I take that back. The 857 orders hit back into it, but it's just firm 2,300 on the offer. And you can see through that whole period, I just see tons of bids. Bid, 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 and we take down. Yeah, they're trapped. I don't think I've ever seen something play through textbook like that. If you get an 11 tick zipper at the high, there's a higher probability of it failing. And when it does fail, that's often the end of the move. It seems like they're selling it in part because the E-mini is buying. Oh, you know what? I don't have my correlation. I was just thinking about the currencies. I can see here that gold is pretty range bound and flat while the E-mini is moving up. Or sorry, while the treasuries are moving up. And then I come over here and I look at the 6J. That one is moving up with us, but only just slightly. British pound again, up, but only slightly. Euro, a little bit more strong. But still, it looks like that the treasuries are kind of moving on their own. But then I look at the E-mini, and you gotta wonder. Okay, so was this a setup for the E-mini, or are treasuries just going on their own? Ideally, they bid up to that 155.19 target before any pullbacks. No, they're definitely... That would be really far for them to go. And on a Monday, with it being this slow, that would be really far for them to go without having to pull back first, I think. Okay, well that was the reversal, and they came back up to that really quickly. So if it was at 21, you got 2 out of it. I'm not seeing another oddity in this, so let me double check. And why does this keep moving down like that? Betting odds on Jeremy Hunt becoming the next prime minister are 20 to 1. Really? They have. Oh, okay. So Jeremy Hunt is the other guy. Is the other guy running against Nigel Farage. And he basically stands no chance. I understand what they're saying now. What's this? A little bit of a sell in the E-mini. There's a lot of volume. Like if they were to push down into the lows and that long volume started coming out, it would get, you know, if those longs started getting squeezed out, that could be really ugly. But my observation watching E-minis lately has been that it's really hard to squeeze out longs. Okay, that uptick was on a pole. I think on that one. Okay, so you see that at 20? So I think on the one for the reversal, I think you could have taken it short at 21. Maybe you would have gotten lucky and gotten it off at 20. But the way that it's pulled back there again, and now you're at, maybe you could get filled at 20 half. There's a pretty big stack at 20, and you can see bids stacking on it, in fact, while the E-mini is selling. And I'm really tempted to come over here into the E-mini and try and sell it. But I'm not sure if this is actually the spot you'd want to do it at. They're also not that interested when they're at the low. Okay, so this one we're going to say here still, this is up trend range. Okay. Now all of those bids seem to be pulling. Lewis. If Bill Clinton is seen in said video, he will be impeached again. I think that he would die before they would put him on trial. I shouldn't say things like that. That was like incredibly scary and ominous, but I think that it would get like stuck in so much legal, muck. It would take forever for them to even try and bring charges on him. And by the time they did, he'd probably be gone. Or maybe even he kills himself. Wouldn't be out of the question either. If he was really like doing, I mean, the thing that's crazy to me with this Epstein stuff, because in the beginning, people made it sound like, oh, he's trafficking in like 17-year-olds. That's what they really mean by child trafficking. No. No. The stuff that I was seeing the other day was like, if, once you're old enough to have your braces off, he's not interested anymore. It sounded like really disgusting stuff. And for him to have, what is basically a blackmail stash, and that was the sort of thing that he was involved in, is incredibly disturbing to me. Okay, I thought that I saw the stack at 20 and everything. Well, I'm not sure what to think. There was one, right? Then we came back. I was reading that as the stack. But now we can look at it and it doesn't seem like such a big deal, does it? So I'm going to say that wasn't actually a signal. You can see the E-mini pushing a little bit higher now. I'm concerned that the outcome of this over here in Treasuries depends on the outcome in the E-mini, and I don't really know what the E-mini is going to do. Oh, look at them bid it up. That might be why they're coming over here. They're not really giving me a clear signal, is because they don't actually know. They're waiting for the E-mini to decide. Budget deal that suspends debt limit said to be almost finished. Well, that would be a positive thing. Bitfinex says, yes, we get it. Ponzi scams look fantastic on paper. Okay. There was some more bidding action there, but it was really far away. Okay, now we're getting maybe a signal. Nope, I take that back. Well, it was more than this one. Seems to me like some bunch of people are in a position here and are a little stuck. I'm just kind of looking at it like, okay, if I really wanted to short the E-mini, 29.8550 is just about the best sell you're possibly going to get. And yet, do I feel confident shorting it here? I don't. So let's just see what happens. Maybe we'll end up feeling really bad later. Because that looks to me like you could sell that right there. And the way the cumulative delta is working and everything like that. And Treasury's ticking up there. I think the 29.8550. I want to sell it there. The Treasuries look agitated. Like they don't know which way they want to go, but it kind of looks like there's a lot of positions on here now. Oh, you sell that. Offers stacking up now. So that was at 20.5. All right. The action here was range reversal down is what I think it's doing. So I can see right there, 29.8550. I think that was a sell. And they came down there. And then when they came back up here, then the Treasuries realized that it wasn't going to do it. And they started selling it. You see that? I was totally looking in the right spot. That is a lot of offers. That is a lot of offers. Yes, attempting to push to 29.90. Well, there's your 04 Uzi. What was it about 04? The operating range high is way down at 24. But this comes back to the other thing that Uzi pointed out that I think is key is that now that if we get back to 02 in ZB, then there's a possibility that we're saying that 155.09 is getting rejected. Now, the way that those offers came in was really aggressive. It was 02 to 03 was where you were looking at. See, I see 02 to 03 being the previous open, but I see the opening range high at 24. That legend, the profile. Gotcha. The way that they're set up here between the different instruments is interesting because ZB is at a step in the profile. Like, here's the profile. Here, I got to draw it. Here's the profile. And here's a profile. Okay. We're on the bottom of this profile right here. Here's a profile. And here's a profile. Okay. Here in ZN, we're towards the top of this side of the profile. Curious, isn't it? Does that mean that ZB could push us down and drag the 10-year with it? Or does it mean that this move down is not quite as big of a deal as it might seem like at first? Well, I can also see that the spread is moving up. The spread is steepening today. In the knob, that is. The knob is steepening. CB tough entry now if taking long. Yeah. I don't think that I could go in at 04. Not without another signal. Interesting thing also here. Decent offer. Looks like the bid should be able to break through. Not too much being traded on the inside. 1,000 each way. Probably an iceberg here. Okay, 3,000. They did finally take it. I just thought it was really curious that they aren't taking that yet. Because my reading is that's not done. I don't see, here's the aberration that gets us in. I'm not seeing another aberration yet. BFX lost 850 million. Never heard of them before. I'm not curious that they're some of the anti-Bitcoin people are talking about that. Uzi says moment of truth, where we find out if they reverse or not. What was the price that you said they needed to get above in E-mini? It was like 92, wasn't it? They ticked back up at 19, did they? Let's see, it's still not. It's not giving a signal. It's kind of weird. I guess I should check in here. We do have some stuff later in the week, don't we? Existing home sales. Advanced GDP, Friday. I don't know. I didn't see a clear exit signal down there at the bottom, but I'm starting to think, just based off of how this happened on the last one, that with this kind of strategy, when it starts coming back like that, you have to take it off. So if it was 20 half, then we got 18 half at one point. Probably not. So you get 3. That one never went against us, so I'm going to put that as a 0 MFE. Notice how they're coming back up on basically nothing. Look at it on the Vista chart with the cumulative delta. 3 ticks back, nothing. Well, there was some bits there. There was some absorption. Bitcoin's still just kind of hanging out. Oh, you know what? I think I need to change something in Bitcoin, though. I need to... Will it let me roll over yet? Not yet. This week is the week, I think. Thursday. Let's see. Where's my calendar? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, it's right. Thursday. This is when the CME future rolls over. You think that so I don't know what backed is. I'm seeing people talking about that, but I don't know what you're all referring to. Futures platform. Okay, but who are they? ICE backed. So they're part of ICE. Well, okay, so if I'm just assuming that they are a futures platform that I'm not very familiar with, saying that they're going to be doing futures, I don't think that another place to trade futures really makes a big difference. Especially since, when the CME futures went up, that was a sell the news sort of event, right? I'd be careful about that. I tell you, here's something that I see in Bitcoin. If I can come back into this. Okay, where was it? I think it was right here. This was where they said there was going to be some announcement about, what was it? The government was going to say something about cryptocurrencies, right? And they sold. And then when he had their speech, they bought it up. And then the next day, okay. And then what was the other piece of news where they did that? Was like, I don't even remember anymore. But it seems to me like what's happening in Bitcoin is that the traders are looking for every excuse to buy it, right? They're looking for every excuse to buy it, but then they get trapped. So, the only read that I can really make from that is that when you look at the tape, it's going to give you an incredibly biased picture, because you've still got this thing where, even though the momentum has really come off, I mean, to me, that technical picture does not look good. Like, that's the thing that I find really weird about what you said, Jay. You said Bitcoin still looks very bullish. I mean, lower high, lower low. But key support not broken yet. And 9,000 is like the only thing keeping them from like complete doom. So to come in and say it looks really bullish is just really surprising to me. Because the technical picture, not that the technical picture matters, but the technical picture is extremely negative. Extremely negative. I'd even add that seeing us here at 10,000 and it doing, just kind of, they got this buy and it's just kind of chilling there, also seems like a negative thing to me. I think that what happens is maybe we buy up again. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe above 1,200. I wouldn't be surprised to see below 9,000, but I think that for the most part it's going to go sideways. And then at the end of the month, so maybe after the Bitcoin futures close on Thursday, or maybe they'll wait until the end of the month, but then I think you will see more selling come in. Because that's going to kind of be like the where people can't hold it anymore. And that's when you're going to see more government action come into. I expected BTC to dump weeks ago, and it didn't really dump. Yeah, well, I mean, we went from 13 to 1,000. That was a dump. Here's what I think happened. I think that this right here was a dump, and I think that somebody came in and saved it. And then this right here was a dump, and I think that somebody came in and saved it. They are trying. It seems to me like, I mean, we have no way to know if the tether that's being printed is legitimate or not. But if we just assume that it's fake, the way that it's behaving right now is exactly what they would be doing, right? They would be buying down the lows at the key critical levels to prevent a complete wash. based on the court documents that they've had before. When they got to that point, they were freaking out, and that's why they did it. So if they're doing it again, that just seems like I can't prove that, but that's where they would do it. Action seems to verify that it's happening. So I'm still not really getting a really clear sell indication here at 19.5. I think that it's a Monday, I guess. Maybe you're getting a little bit of one here because we're getting some interest at 19. But I think should have taken profits on this one, and maybe you're just sitting on your hands right now. I do see, let's minimize Bitcoin. I think we're done talking about that, yeah. I don't think that they're going to make a new all-time high, but we'll see. The E-mini is starting to look a little bit more negative. Cumulative delta Ys, at least, it looks really bad. Why aren't they below the VWAP though? That doesn't make sense. We're in a spot, I think you meant we are instead of where. We are in a spot where I could buy ZB, but the activity isn't there to convince me. No. I agree. Like the whole setup was wait for a pullback and buy it. Just not seeing it. In fact, if I zoom out here and I look at the whole thing, it kind of makes me wonder, why did we buy? It seems a little unclear why. So I just was reading a story about the backed thing. BAKKD. It just looks like a pump story. It's not, there's like no actual information about it. Oh, it's going to bring tons of institutional investors, and it's just kind of like this foregone conclusion. I don't understand, who are all of these institutional traders that trade on BAKKT that can't trade on the CME? And all of a sudden now, oh, now that it's on that exchange, I'm interested in doing it now. Doesn't make sense to me. For me to be all gung-ho about it, I think that somebody would have to give a better justification for that. I don't know, maybe it does move higher here from Treasuries, but it kind of looks to me like your opportunities are dwindling. My Revit sounds bored. Can you guys hear that sound? It's like it's moving its water dish or its food dish around or something. What's causing that noise? Kind of looks to me like the fish died. Well, like the thing that's interesting, think about this. Okay, spiked interest. Those are both continuations, and I don't know exactly how I tell, but you know, because in a lot of situations that's a reversal, but I kind of thought that would be a continuation. But then look at when we came up here, they really lost interest. It just was really range bound. And I thought, okay, there must be a bunch of people stuck in here. And then all of a sudden the big offers came out and pushed us down. Okay, cool. Pull back. Zero interest. Zero interest there. So here's the thing. If we had come back to that 127.20 and we had gotten another spike, I would have shorted that for sure. But it's come back down, and now we come back down to here, which is a slightly higher high. And, well, there was a little bit of interest here. You're getting a little bit of interest here again. So it maybe suggests higher, I think. I think that could suggest higher, but it's just really uninspiring action, and it's a Monday. It's after 11. Or sorry, it's after 8:11 my time. So I think it may just be the case that they've already made that this was the big move. And that was good, and then that's like it. If you made money on this, you're probably likely to just lose money on this. And if you haven't touched it, like it sounds like most of the room, you know, we're all sitting there waiting for a pullback. It comes, it does it. Nobody's interested in it. I don't think that that's really a trade, is it? You can see them take it 19.5, but they're only able to make it go. They're not able to make it break. In the E-mini, you know, I thought maybe they were in a sell. Well, they sold, and it just kind of did a mild pullback. I suppose that some really strong selling could still come into the E-mini here, and that would push the treasuries up. Overall, though. Okay, well, there is one right there. Okay, we're going to put this one in. The daily trend is up. We're kind of in a trend day. I'm going to say we're in range. And I think that this one should be, oh, I don't know what it is, to be honest. That's why trading up to that target dash CB before this would have been the better trade. Well, yeah. If you could have caught it when it was back at 24, that would have been an amazing trade. I think what we might see here is we might see some big orders step in. By the way, have you noticed that we haven't heard a click in a long time? So the big orders are like completely uninvolved here as well. I guess another thing that I'm seeing is like we are getting spikes. Like we get a spike and then it goes sideways, spike, sideways, 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 sideways. That doesn't really speak to it really doing anything, does it? I don't think I've ever seen that before in the week. See, it's just putting me to sleep. I don't think we've seen that in the 6 days that we've been watching this, have we? I've definitely seen where you get a high degree of interest and then it goes sideways. But to see it do it over and over and over and over again is unusual. Maybe the market's already changing on us, and what appeared to be an edge last week is they're watching and they've already adjusted. Darn. We'll reset the yin either. That's getting off. Okay. So those were polls. This is actually a surprising amount of volume trading there at 19.5. It is the point of control though. There's a pretty big iceberg at 19.5. Yes, found its sellers. Well, I don't know, Algo Lover. I mean, you're right that it found sellers when you look at the cumulative delta, right? The thing is that it's equalizing, well, actually just a little bit below where it was on the open now. So I don't think that the issue is so much finding its sellers as it is getting it to break. You know what I mean? So like 2983.50 is clearly the step. There's always a possibility they break that and then reverse. It's really that 2981.50 where it's like, let's break this and get going. It's not doing it. Fact of the open is providing some resistance for them, or rather support for the buyers. You know what I mean? Something I've seen happen quite a few times is, well, in the past week or so, ever since we touched 3,000, is you'll see something like, well, there's a couple of different ways that it could happen. I don't think I should go through the scenarios, but basically the gist of it is that you'll see a ton of selling, but then it never breaks, and then the sellers all get blown out. You know, that's been a pattern that I think we got to keep an eye on. Otherwise, I would have tried to have sold it up there. Although they did break, I don't think that I could have sold it on new highs. I got to get it below 2976.50 for a confirmation lower, in your opinion? Oh, that would really be a... There's an opening range high at 77. So, you know, we got to wonder. We could see, and they might do it in the next 10 minutes. Not saying that I don't think it's going to do it. It's just... It doesn't look like a clean read to me. And also, especially with Treasuries just kind of being like... doing who knows what. Okay, there was a stack there. But it was far away. down there. That's odd. So I see there, 04 half, they pulled 995, and then they put it back on. They took it off and they put it back on. And we maybe ticked up. Now I'm thinking drink enough water, my lips are all chapped. 4 p.m. closing gap, 79.75 for starters. I really want to make a trade in the E-mini one of these days, but I even need to see something clear. You know, I want to see something where they're selling, you know. Like, it's going to be that day. It's falling apart. I just don't see it. Today looks like... This action looks like the kind of action that really tries to draw you in. But there's no reason to trade it. There's really no reason to trade it. Well, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the probability is that this moves back up. Well, oh, you know what? I forgot to do something. We never changed the date on the stream. It's the 22nd. There we go. By the way, I put together a video. You guys want to see something? Let me show you something fun, since this is so effing boring. You're going to want to pull up your screen. Where are we? I'll give you a preview of the video that I'm going to put out on Wednesday. Because I got...
The required reading list. 5 books that I think every trader should read.
Okay, here you go. Cool. Is that good? You like my intro? I had to do all of that from scratch. I never thought that I would be able to make something like that. And I'm not saying that it's like amazing or anything, but I feel like it's acceptable. And for that, I am quite happy. Anyways, I'm going to put that out on Wednesday. So get all your book recommendations ready so that when we post that video on Wednesday, you have which books you would recommend to put into the comments. Let's hear what's Algo saying. Definitely no strong conviction, but this short squeeze was so weak. Yeah, like, well, it looks like that the sellers are still just coming in, doesn't it? They are bringing it down to the lows. See, the thing that, I mean, this may well could be a really good sell. It just seems to me like as of late that they've always been doing this, that they're trying to sell it. It's like the short-term traders are really negative for some reason. Excuse me. I guess there's of course some skepticism because we're at all-time highs. when we're also talking about possible worldwide recession. So, totally makes sense for them to want to sell it, but they just haven't been winning lately. Could they break it today? I mean, that would be cool. That could give us more opportunity later in the week, but I don't know. How many more contracts can they really sell? And here again, well, so buyers are making a little bit of a pushback. So what happens if they reverse here? What happens if, they weren't able to make the low? Well, actually, that was the regular session low, but it wasn't. No, actually, it was not. They came a little bit short. So what happens if they buy back up? Let's just say that what happens if they buy back up above the regular session VWAP, for instance? And then you have all of these shorts that are going to get squeezed out. This could turn on them very, very quickly. They could get trapped very, very easily. I'd also say there was quite a bit of volume down here. They probably need to keep the 84 area or so. Well, actually, it's more like 86. If they got back above 86, then I think that shorts would be really trapped and panicking. Also, this in ZN is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, it's still not. Still only 12. That's interesting. The tendency would be for them to tick up and then make 20.5, maybe even 21. But if they stay in as ever for too long, then you get nothing. I'm getting some little ticks here. Yeah, always another side to the coin. Yeah, exactly. See, the thing that I find so hard is that when I'm in Treasuries, I'm starting to get a pretty good idea of when they've overdone it. But in the E-mini, it just looks so random to me. I mean, like them stopping at 29.82, for instance. Why? Seems like no rhyme or reason to it. It just randomly started to go up. I don't see any change in volume. Nothing that I look at on my screen shows any kind of unusual change other than that it started to go up. And the volume just seems random. It seems to me like that with the tools that I have, trading E-minis with order flow is incredibly difficult. Okay, they did fall out. They fell down. No, that one never ended up doing anything, so it wasn't even a... I think through all of that, you can't even necessarily say that we had a signal. This seems unusual to me. No doubt that's always what it sees. Dojo says algo's working off of standard deviations. I mean, probably, right? Yeah, the best laid plans. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. The whole thing is that if I can't get a reading like that, then is it really worth it for me to trade E-minis? I'm starting to think that it's only worth it to trade them when when there's chaos. Then you can just sell it, and then they behave more based off of order flow, maybe. Maybe that's why maybe that's why Ace is, you know, shorts it so often. It's because you're more likely to get a good order flow reading on the short or something like that. Uzi says I trade what I'm good at. Yeah. Well, I want to trade the E-mini because, you know, the lower commission, the lower risk, and, you know, I could build an account on it, but you got to have an edge to build an account. And when I'm, you know, the things that I'm kind of was looking at to try and make my adjustments on the E-mini, I'm not seeing. I've found it's best to trade them before 11 a.m. The E-mini? Well, yeah, I mean, this time period between when the Treasuries open and when the London market closes is definitely the best trading. Especially if you're looking at order flow, I would not recommend trading after the London close. Granted, we've been getting some okay moves in Treasuries lately, later in the day, but yeah, it still does really weird stuff after that, and the read is just not as good. And the other thing is look at how easily it was able to get above 29.85 with hardly any volume coming out. So if they really do break it, if they get up to 29.86, all of those shorts are trapped. Is that really what's going to happen? That's going to be something else. That seems like when I look at the downside and when I look at the upside, either scenario looks kind of fantastical to me. You know? Let's see what John posted in Treasuries. 155.09 would see prior supply tested. Beyond that, 16 to 22 would be an area of previous supply. Oh, we did touch the 09. Nothing on the calendar. So he wasn't looking to see a whole lot. He made the correct call, and then I guess that's that. Oh yes, we should look at this. My wife's been having issues with the Wi-Fi, so I decided to shell out for a very nice router. Oh, where is it? Well, that's dumb. Okay. So it may be arriving in Salt Lake today. We might get it tomorrow. It'll be fun. That would give the push into 29.90.91, but sellers blocked that first attempt. So yeah, it seemed like they got back to the open and now they're getting resistance again. I mean, the selling has not abated at all. And Treasuries is still like just chilling. Might be fun if they break through here if the Treasuries start bidding up again. I like that theory because if that's what happens, then it would be like, everything makes sense now. You know what I mean? There's a bid there at 18.5. Not quite going. Let's generate our charts. You know what? I know this is kind of like a random thought, but I was just thinking about the Bitcoin thing again because, you know, I'm going to go post the notes. And I think that the thing that bothers me so much about it, because when I look at it, I see, there's some very clear fraud going on here. But then whenever somebody comes into the chat room for Bitcoin, have you noticed nobody ever comes into YouTube chat and says, oh man, Bitcoin is just falling apart, man. I really think that we should all short it, or, you know, if you're in, you should get out. Has that ever happened? Even in the peak, there was not saying that, you know? Or does anybody ever come in and say, well, here's a piece of information in Bitcoin that might be useful to you guys to trade? Doesn't seem like that ever happens. To me, it feels like that everything that happens is like people trying to convince us to buy it. Oh, that usually didn't know where I was going. Everyone pumps Bitcoin. A good enough reason for me to never touch it. Yeah, it really feels to me like that entire market is just designed to try and get me to FOMO into it. And meanwhile, my strategy that has, you know, some historical, you know, really good historical track performance on it says don't touch it. It's doing something weird right now for sure, but it's still, the rules that I set out say you don't touch it. IQ says he was not long ZB. Well, it's been down there long enough now. If you really wanted to buy it, you probably would have had the chance. I mean, the thing is that coming back to 04, this, I mean, it looks like it should be a good place to buy it. It's kind of being tepid, but maybe we will see another move up. I don't know. Anyways, so with that, if you guys want to see what my Bitcoin indicator is saying, you can check out the Patreon link in the video description below. You cannot see today's post unless you're a subscriber, but you can see last week's post. So, you know, I do that so that I can actually show you what it does. You know, you don't want to go and get into something, you know, without actually knowing what you're getting. So you know what you're getting, you know, what it would have told you in the past. So you can make your own determination if you think that there is something to it. I think most people will find that there is. Although maybe many of you are just like, but I still don't want to touch Bitcoin. That's okay. And we use that money to help the stream. So we've made the stream a much nicer. We're kind of getting to the point now where I really want to grow the channel. You know, there's a funny thing that we were talking to Wrong in the comments the other day, and he's like, well, you just need to post that you made $1,000 every day and put that in the thumbnail, and that'll get people to come over, right? But I thought about that, and I'm like, I don't think that's the crowd that we want to attract, you know? But I do think that maybe something that we could go for is I think that we could try and pull in a couple more general audience people. So like, I think I want to make a video that's just like, what's going on with interest rates right now? You know, that's the sort of a thing. And so that takes a lot of time. I would like to be able to pay somebody to like make graphics and stuff for me. So those are the sorts of things that it goes into. Anyways, totally not necessary because I have a great job. And I just put everything we make from the stream, we just goes right back into the stream. So if you guys contribute, I appreciate it. And I know there's a couple of you guys that do, and you've been doing it for 2 years. I absolutely appreciate it. You're amazing. So thank you. That's my whole spill about the Patreon that I don't promote enough. I figure I should give a good, you know, argument for it here. You know, yeah. He was saying, you know, go in and say, you know, add more size and just, you know, on sim, go into sim, pretend that you're trading 100 lot and then go in and claim that you made $100,000 or whatever. And that would get people to watch the streams. I think, it, you know, maybe it would, but probably better off to grow the channel by making good content that people find useful. So that's the focus right now. Okay, so anyways, now that I've yapped, let's go and post this note. $7.22, there it is. Dash. Okay, well, it looks like that time you did get one. 19. Let's put that one in. 19. The daily trend was up. There's a trend. We'll just say it was ranged down, reverse up. And that one you could have gotten 1, 2, 3. And you had 1. High interest pushing. Swing low, not log. Swing low. Wow. 34,000 SPY just sold on a downtick. That's curious. It's also, you know, while I've been yapping, the E-mini did something really weird, didn't it? Because they retested that low, bounced off of it, made a higher high, and now are bouncing back and retesting that low again. It seems to me that whoever is out there trying to sell it is incredibly stubborn. Well, there you go. There, they finally broke it. This is now where you say, ah, Seth, you can totally sell the E-mini now, right? But it's 844. 845. Don't want to trade after that. Don't want to enter a trade after that. So we shall see. It'll be interesting if the Treasuries break a new high or not. I think, though, that was your buy right there. The problem with that one is that how would you know that that one was your buy and not that one, that one, that one? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Seems like they were just waiting for the E-mini. I don't know if that was necessarily a positive trade, but did give a signal in reverse, and I think we need to count it. Let's just wait another 5 minutes, shall we? We'll keep this going another 5 minutes. See what the resolution from that in the ES is. Is that did they just break that, or do they really start to turn into some downtrend action? I have to say that sell at 29.81 was pretty strong. About 5,000 contracts down all at once. Dojo really came in and gave us the warning too, didn't he? 34,000 SPY. How do you do that? Can you actually sell that much SPY? Is there actually that much put on? Is there actually that much liquidity in SPY contracts? Or contracts, shares. I guess it's shares, right? Sounds pretty crazy. It is, you know, he says it's one of the most liquid ETFs. Says Dojo. Oh, yes, he's posting from Twitch. By the way, Dojo, you've been watching on Twitch for a couple of, I want to say it's been a couple of weeks now, but I appreciate it greatly. I did figure that it was one of the most liquid ETFs, but 34,000? Like, if 34,000 traded in ZN, that would be like, what the fuck? That would be equal to, like, the largest iceberg I've ever seen. So for them to trade 34,000 on, like, a down sweep is, like, quite alarming to me. How does that happen? Look, you're getting another continuation spike. Curious how that works. I wonder what is it the only thing pushing treasuries higher, just that equities are really, really scared, I guess. By the way, do we get the meeting this week? No, it's next week, right? Yes. Oh. It's on the 31st. The very last day of the month. Why is it on the very last day? Is that intentional? I wonder how they decide when they're going to have their meetings. Well, given that the treasuries are pushing up, I think we'd have to assume that the E-mini is going to move down, right? A little bit. You know, I'm not seeing like an incredibly strong stack on the bid, but they do have 4,000s all the way up through that area that we traded through. Not a 5, but 46 at 18.5, for instance, is not bad. Do we see anything? I tell you what, the Vista chart hasn't been telling us a whole lot lately. These do. These histograms still do. Look at that buy. Whoosh. Whoosh. And that's like overdone, maybe. Still. Is a Bitcoin a selling? They're a selling. Just in the past 15 minutes or so. That's curious to me. As the E-mini sells, so does Bitcoin. This is one of those other things in Bitcoin that really irks me, is that it seems like that there's this belief that you can use the E-mini to hedge against anything. So if the equity markets are down, oh, let's buy Bitcoin. If treasuries are down, oh, let's buy Bitcoin. The US dollar is down, oh, let's buy Bitcoin. And you've actually seen trades where you could probably justify that correlation exists. And then all of a sudden, when it like really matters, it stops. You know what I mean? If it's like institutional people that are buying up Bitcoin, then the E-mini going down is not a very good sign for them, because they're going to be dumping everything and trying to raise funds. I find that watching the prints on SPY is more telling than watching the prints on ES. You can also watch the ATM option action on the SPX cash index is very predictive. Okay, good observation, Dojo. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to... I don't think I can really look at SPY in a way. Like, do you have SPY on a DOM like this? Because if I can watch SPY on a DOM like this, then maybe I could do something. But it totally makes sense to me that most of the action in ES is hedging against actually buying real equities out there. And so if you watch cumulative delta, it might give you opposite signals. Versus the treasuries, there is a cash market in treasuries, but it's not. You don't need to watch it, really. I'm sure it would be useful, but... Okay, so now E-mini's touching the bull bear zone, huh? High. Why is the low that far? Does it make it bigger because it's ES? I wonder what the logic is. Algo is still pointing out that we haven't broken down through the bottom, so we're still kind of in a range where there might be some support, which is also a good point. But I mean, the sellers did eventually win, so I don't see any reason why they couldn't continue to sell, you know? It's interesting that the E-mini did not make a new high. So this right here, do you see this? 20.5? You're watching it through Thinkorswim. I thought that they didn't show you, I thought that Thinkorswim didn't show you the level 2 for stocks, though. I guess I was wrong about that. Anyways, I'm going to get going now, but there was one last thing that I wanted to point out here in the Treasury. Okay, low. We came one tick short of a high, and it was on another one of these events, and it pulled back. If we continue to see interest here in this location, that could actually turn it into a sell. Right? So when you get a lower high with more interest, then that means that they're actually shorting it. So I'd watch out for that one. It's unclear, but it's kind of starting to give you some inkling. But on the other hand, they didn't really get any interest until it was higher. So it seems like that they all agree that the trend is up and that they want to favor the long side. So we'd probably need to see a really strong rally in the E-mini for that to happen. But we'll see what happens. It's funny when I'm just watching it, but I still have to speculate. All right, well, I will catch you guys tomorrow. I bet we'll have much better action later in the week. So I will see you then. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.